In biochemistry, we will be seeing a new chapter, that is protein. So in the chapter, we have to see the definition, classification of protein based on composition and solubility with example. So let's see the definition of proteins. Proteins क्या है, इसका classification क्या है. So let's see. So what are proteins? Proteins क्या है? These are the essential part of human diets which are found in a diet, like in any dietary supplements or meat like fish. So these are the rich sources of protein like egg. यहाँ से अपने को प्रोटीन मिलेगा which are basically amino acids. तो ये एक्चुअल में है क्या? amino acid. So this is the chain of amino acid. ये bulkier form amino acid है. Here you can see a chain of amino acids. So basically why we are requiring proteins. So protein in a simple way is required to fight against infection. These are required to fight against infection, and it helps to divide the cell. It helps to divide the cell. So let's see the definition of protein. So proteins are high molecular weight mixed polymer of alpha amino acid joined together with a peptide linkage. As you can see here, this is the amino acid, and that is linked. As you can see that bond, these bond in between, that is a peptide bond. जो एक दूसरे से जो molecules जुड़े हुए हैं, amino acids जुड़े हुए हैं, वो bond जो है, that is a peptide bond. So this is the definition of protein. This is very important. जो amino acid, जो alpha amino acids है, वो link कैसे या join कैसे हुए हुए हैं, that is joined by the peptide linkage. That is a peptide linkage. Next, let's see the classification of protein based on the four parameters. So protein are classified as the composition or the structure. Next we have the solubility, next is the shape, and the last is the function. So here is the classification of protein. Let's see the very first, that is composition of protein. मतलब ये कैसे compose हुआ है या कैसे बना हुआ है. So let's see that. So here is the classification of protein. So protein are जो composition protein है, it is classified as simple protein, conjugated protein and derived protein. ये तीन parts में वो protein divided है. Very first जो है simple protein, that is they are made up of only amino acid. ये सिर्फ जो है amino acid से ही बना हुआ है, इसके अंदर और कुछ भी नहीं है. Only it is made up of amino acids. And the example, फिर it is further divided as globular protein, and the next is scleroprotein. Scleroprotein के ये examples है, that is collagen, elastin and keratin. Globular के example है, that is albumin, globulin, glutenin, prolamine, histone, globins, protamines and lactins. So these are the simple protein and these are the examples of globular protein. नेक्स्ट इज द कॉन्जुगेटेड प्रोटीन. अब ये कॉन्जुगेटेड प्रोटीन होते क्या है, जिसके अंदर एक जो पार्ट है अमीनो एसिड का है और दूसरा पार्ट इज नॉन अमीनो एसिड. एज यू कैन सी हियर, यहाँ पर जो एक जो प्रोटीन हमने यहाँ देखे, यहाँ पे ये जो दो एक दूसरे से ज्वाइंट हुए हुए हैं अमीनो एसिड, तो यहाँ पे एक अमीनो एसिड रहेगा और दूसरा है नॉन प्रोटीन पार्ट. यहाँ पर नॉन प्रोटीन पार्ट मतलब कि ये हो सकता लिपिड या फिर कार्बोहाइड्रेट. अगर इसमें जो ज्वाइंट हो रहे, इसमें फॉर एग्जाम्पल एज यू कैन सी दिस इज वन मॉलिक्यूल एंड दिस इज वन मॉलिक्यूल, वन पार्ट इज प्रोटीन एंड द अदर पार्ट इज नॉन प्रोटीन. ये दोनों जब एक दूसरे से बॉन्ड बना रहे, ठीक है, तो ये कोवैलेंट, यहाँ पे पेप्टाइड बॉन्ड था, यहाँ पर जो कोवैलेंट बॉन्ड आएगा या फिर यहाँ पे नॉन कोवैलेंट बॉन्ड आएगा, इसको हम कॉन्जुगेटेड प्रोटीन बोलेंगे. Is it clear? It is called as conjugated protein. If you want to write, you can write these proteins are, या फिर this protein contain protein part attached to protein component. Next point, the non-protein part is linked to protein through covalent bond, non-covalent bond, and हाइड्रोफोबिक इंटरैक्शन, ये जो नॉन प्रोटीन पार्ट है, इट इज़ ऑल्सो कॉल्ड एज प्रोस्थेटिक ग्रुप. दिस इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इफ़ यू आर प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर एनी कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम. जो नॉन प्रोटीन पार्ट है, इट इज़ कॉल्ड एज प्रोस्थेटिक ग्रुप. सो हियर आर द एग्जाम्पल ऑफ कॉन्जुगेटेड प्रोटीन, दैट इज न्यूक्लियोप्रोटीन, ग्लाइकोप्रोटीन, म्यूक्रोप्रोटीन, lipoprotein, phosphoprotein, chromoprotein and metalloprotein. So here are the example of conjugated protein. Next we have the derived protein, which is further divided into primary and secondary protein. In primary protein we have coagulated protein, proteins, metaproteins, and secondary protein we have proteose, peptones, polypeptides and peptides. So here are the example of derived protein. Derived proteins are basically जो है ये फॉर्म करता सिंपल प्रोटीन और कॉन्जुगेटेड प्रोटीन से ही ये डिराइव होता, इसलिए इसका नाम है डिराइव प्रोटीन. नेक्स्ट वी आर सेइंग विद द बेस्ड ऑन सॉल्युबिलिटी. सेकेंड जो क्लासिफिकेशन है दैट इज बेस्ड ऑन द सॉल्युबिलिटी. ये हमने फर्स्ट क्लासिफिकेशन देखे थे, दैट वाज बेस्ड ऑन द कॉम्पोजिशन, किससे कंपोज हुआ है. नेक्स्ट इज वी आर सेइंग विद द बेस्ड ऑन सॉल्युबिलिटी, ये किस में सॉल्युबल है नहीं है, दैट इज so protein are classified in the following subtype based on the solubility. That is, very first is albumins. So they are soluble in water and salt solution. Example यहाँ पर है albumin, plasma, egg albumin, lactam albumin of milk. Next is globulins. They are sparingly soluble in water but soluble in salt solution. Example is globulins of plasma, ovaglobulins of egg and lactoglobulins of milk. Next is glutenine. Here is the solubility, that is soluble, ये जो है dilute alkalis में ये soluble है और acid में ये soluble है. Example इसका gluten of wheat, origin of rice and zen of maize. Next, fourth classification, that is protamine. So they are soluble in amino and in water. So here it is very important in which substance it is soluble or not. Example इसका है salamine from salmon fish. So the first part of the syllabus we have completed, that is the definition. Next we have seen with the classification of protein based on composition. Composition में है simple protein है, conjugated protein है और derived protein है, उसका example हमने देखे. Next we have seen with the solubility with example, that is albumin, वो किस में soluble है या नहीं है. This was it for the first content. Next we have the definition, classification of amino acid based on the chemical nature and nutritional requirement with the example. So let's see the second of amino acid. So here is the definition of amino acid. So this is the basic structure of amino acid. As you can see, that is as you can see in the middle, that is C, that is the carbon, it is called as central carbon. It is called as central carbon. Next you can see this group, that is amino group. NH2 is the amino group, and we have here that is carboxylic group. So this is the basic nucleus of amino acid. Here is the definition of amino acid. Amino acid are carboxylic acid containing an amino group. As you can see, this is the carboxylic group containing an amino group. NH2 is the amino group. So this is the definition of amino acid. Next we have the classification of amino acid. So it is divided into 7 classes. Very first, as you can see, very first is amino acid with aliphatic side chain. Aliphatic side chain है तो उसके एग्जाम्पल है ग्लाइसिन, एलेनिन, वेलिन, ल्यूसिन, आइसोल्यूसिन. नेक्स्ट क्लासिफिकेशन वी हैव अमीनो एसिड कंटेनिंग OH. अमीनो एसिड कंटेनिंग OH, दैट इज हाइड्रोक्सिल ग्रुप है. तो सेरीन है, थियोनिन है एंड टायरोसिन है. दीज आर द एग्जाम्पल ऑफ अमीनो एसिड कंटेनिंग हाइड्रोक्सिल ग्रुप. यहाँ पे एलिफैटिक ग्रुप था, यहाँ पे है हाइड्रोक्सिल ग्रुप. Next is the classification. Third is sulfur containing amino acid. Sulfur containing amino acid, that is cysteine, and methionine. Next is acidic amino acid and their amides. तो इसका एग्जाम्पल है aspartic acid, asparagine, glutamic acid and glutamine. Remember the examples of each classification. This might be very helpful for your competitive exams. Next is basic amino acid, that is lysine, arginine and histidine. Sixth classification we have aromatic amino acids, that is phenylamine. Next is tyrosine and the last is tryptophan. So these are the aromatic amino acid. ये सब जो है ये है amino acid जो है aromatic है. Remember tyrosine, tryptophan. Next, that is the last classification is amino acid. Amino acid, that is amino. ऐसे आएगा ये amino acid. Example is proline. Proline is the only example of amino acid. So this was the classification of amino acid. If you want to take the screenshot, you can pause the video and take the screenshot of this classification. Next we have the classification based on nutrition requirement में. So we have the two classification, that is essential amino acid and the non-essential amino acids. So here is the essential amino acid. Essential amino acids, these are not synthesized in the body. ये जो है ये body में synthesize नहीं होता. And non-essential amino acid, these are synthesized in the body. They are actually synthesized in the body. Remember the example of essential amino acids and non-essential amino acid. ये जो classification है ये based on nutritional requirement में. So here is the essential amino acid, that is leucine, isoleucine, valine, histidine, lysine, methionine, phenylamine, thionine and tryptophan. These are the example of amino acid, essential amino acid. यहाँ पर जो है non essential amino acid के example है. So very first is alanine, arginine, asparagine, aspartic acid, cysteine, glutamic acid, glutamine, glycine, proline, serine and tyrosine. These are the example of non-essential amino acids. Let's see, if you want to write, you can write this also. That was for the basic understanding. So these are the amino acids which are not synthesized in the body, and these are the examples which I have given you before also. Next we have non-essential amino acid. As you can see, these are synthesized in the body. They are not present in a diet. ठीक है. Next is lack of amino acid gives rise to the growth failure. अगर आपके बॉडी में अमीनो एसिड्स कम हो गए तो उसकी वजह से जो ग्रोथ है वो प्रॉपर, आपकी बॉडी की जो ग्रोथ है वो प्रॉपर नहीं होंगी. So these are the classification based on the nutrition requirement. Remember the example of each and every classification. जहाँ पर classification change होंगे वहाँ पर examples भी change हो जाएंगे. Is it clear? So let's see the very first structure. As you can see, these are the structures of protein. First is the primary structure, that is the linear structure. As you can see, it is also called as linear sequence of amino acid residue in a polypeptide chain, that is primary structure. So this is the primary structure of protein. Bonds जो है इसमें that are responsible for the maintenance of primary structure, and mainly उसके अंदर जो bond है that is यहाँ पर जो bond रहेगा that is a peptide bond and a disulfide bond. So this is the primary structure of protein. Next we have the secondary structure of protein. So this is the secondary structure of protein. So the secondary structure is divided into two further structure, that is alpha, and beta. That is alpha and beta. It is further divided into alpha and beta. That is alpha helical structure and the second is beta pleated structure. So यहाँ पे अगर ये अल्फा बीटेड है, अल्फा जो हेलिक स्ट्रक्चर है वो ऐसा रहेगा like this, ऐसा, and बीटा शीट जो स्ट्रक्चर रहेगा that is this kind of way. So this is the secondary structure of a protein. Next we have the tertiary protein. Next we have the tertiary protein. So tertiary इसलिए बोला गया है इसको because it is a three-dimensional folding of polypeptide chain, and that's why it is called as tertiary structure. So it consists of regions of alpha helix and beta pleated sheet that is coiled together for the formation of illusion. As you can see, this is the kind of illusion it is making, and it has the following interaction. Very first is hydrophobic interaction, next is electrostatic interaction या electrostatic bond, third is internal hydrogen bond, and the last is van der Waals interaction. So these are the four interaction in the tertiary structure of protein. And the last we have the quaternary structure of protein. So it contain of at least या फिर two or more उसमें peptide chain है that is responsible for the structure. It is also called as oligomer structure of protein. Remember it has different types of bonding, like hydrogen bonding है उसमें electrostatic interaction है, hydrophobic interaction है, van der Waals interaction है, as well as इसमें disulfide bridge है या फिर इसमें bonds are responsible for the quaternary structure. So these are the four types of structure of protein, that is primary, secondary जो है दो types में divided है, that is alpha and beta sheet. Next is the tertiary structure and the last is quaternary structure of protein. इसमें different types of interaction है, different types of bonds are responsible for the different kind of structures. Have the qualitative test and biological role of protein and amino acid. So let's see the very first, that is qualitative test of proteins. So here is the qualitative test for protein. Very first is Burette test, next is Millen's test, next is Sakaguchi test, fourth is Neil-Hydrin test, and the last is xanthoprotein test. So let's see the very first test, that is Burette test. यहाँ पर आपको क्या करना है, 2 ml test solution लेना है of protein and add an equal amount of 10% NaOH of 10% CuSO4 solution to get a violet color. यहाँ पर अगर violet color आ जाता है that means यहाँ पे Burette test जो है positive आएगा. The violet color जो है conformation process linkage, and this test is used to identify the protein. Next we have the Millen's test. So यहाँ पर we have like सो यहाँ पर जो है कन्फर्मेशन होगा, यहाँ पे पेप्टाइड लिंक प्रेजेंट है इन ब्यूरेट टेस्ट. नेक्स्ट इज द मिलन टेस्ट. यहाँ पर यू हैव टू टेक 1 ml ऑफ प्रोटीन सोल्यूशन, एसिडिफाई करना है. एसिडिफाई मतलब यू हैव टू पुट एसिड टू एसिडिफाई द सोल्यूशन. यहाँ पे एसिड जो है H2SO4 लिए है, या फिर यू कैन ऑल्सो टेक HCl 1 ml of it and acid mercuric sulfate solution and gently boil for 1 minute. फिर इसमें जो है आपका ऑब्जर्वेशन ये आएगा कि इट विल गेट येलो प्रेसिपिटेट. उसको फिर आपको कूल करना है अंडर द टैप वाटर एंड ऐड 1 ड्रॉप ऑफ NaNO2 सोल्यूशन ऑन जेंटली वार्मिंग टर्न रेड. यहाँ पर जो है अगर मिलेंटेंस जो टेस्ट है रेड कलर आ गया, दैट मीन्स प्रोटीन प्रेजेंट है इसमें. नेक्स्ट इज साकागुची टेस्ट. इसमें जो है प्रेजेंस ऑफ आर्जिनिन हम लोग चेक करेंगे. प्रेजेंस ऑफ आर्जिनिन ऑफ प्रोटीन, यहाँ पे अल्कलाइन सोल्यूशन है, इट विल गिव रेड कलर विथ नेप्थॉल एंड सोडियम हाइपोक्लोराइड. नेक्स्ट जो है फोर्थ टेस्ट, दैट इज नील हाइड्रेट टेस्ट. यहाँ पे दिस टेस्ट पॉजिटिव for all amino acid containing free amino and carboxylic group. The निर्हाइड्रेट जो है form a complex with a amino और carboxylic group of amino acid developing. यहाँ पर जो कलर है that will develop blue color on heating. फिर उसके बाद आपको ऐड करना है 1 ml अमीनो सोल्यूशन और उसमें आपको 2 ड्रॉप्स फ्रेशली प्रिपेयर निर्हाइड्रेट सोल्यूशन 2% या 2% आपको उसमें हाइड्रेट सोल्यूशन डालना है. फिर उसको आपको हीट करना है. यहाँ पर जो है ब्लू कलर डेवलप होगा, दैट विल इंडिकेट द प्रेजेंस ऑफ अमीनो एसिड. अगर यहाँ पे ब्लू कलर डेवलप हो गया, दैट मीन्स उसमें अमीनो एसिड प्रेजेंट है. नेक्स्ट वी हैव द xanthoprotein टेस्ट. यहाँ पे यू हैव टू टेक 2 ml ऑफ अमीनो एसिड सोल्यूशन, देन यू हैव टू ऐड 1 ml कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड HNO3 दैट इज नाइट्रिक एसिड. अ वाइट प्रेसिपिटेट इज फॉर्म. यहाँ पे जो बॉईल करेंगे आप, एक वाइट प्रेसिपिटेट फॉर्म होगा. फिर उसको आप फर्दर बॉईल करेंगे तो उसमें येलो कलर आ जाएगा. फिर उसको आपको क्या करना है, कूल डाउन करना है वो सोल्यूशन को. फिर उसके बाद ठंडा होने बाद उसमें आपको 2 ml एनोवेट सोल्यूशन डालना है टू मेक इट अल्कलाइन. वो थोड़ा अल्कलाइन हो जाएगा, फिर वो कलर चेंज करेगा टू ऑरेंज. अगर ऑरेंज कलर आता है दैट मीन्स अमीनो एसिड उसमें प्रेजेंट है, अरोमेटिक अमीनो एसिड उसमें present है. तो these are the 5 tests of protein. These are the qualitative tests of protein. So next we have biological role of protein. So here are the some role of protein. Very first are protein are essential for life process. So ये बहुत ज़्यादा important है. Are the essence of life process. Next they are the fundamental constituents of all the protoplasm and are involved in the structure of living cell and its functions. Next enzymes are made up of protein. जो enzymes हमारी body में they are made up of protein. They are the semid substance of reticulum which bind or hold the cell as tissue or organ are made up of partly proteins. Next is they are having homeostatic control of the volume of circulating blood and that of the intestinal fluid through plasma protein. Sixth role is they are involved in blood clotting. This is very important. They are involved in blood clotting through thrombin, fibrinogen and other protein factor. Seventh role is they perform hereditary transmission by nucleoproteins of the cell nucleus. And the last is they act as a defense against infection by means of protein antibiotics. So ये infection के against काम करता. This is very important. So these are the some role of protein. Next we have the biological role of amino acids. तो यहाँ पे है amino acids के role. Very first let's see, amino acids serve as a building block. So this is important. It serves as a building block of protein. Some amino acids are found in free form in human blood. They also serve as a precursor of human purines, pyridines, porphyrines, vitamins and biological important amines like histamine. Next is peptides have many important biological functions. Some of them are hormone, some of them are used as antibiotics and anti-tumors. So these are the role of amino acid. Previously we have seen biological role of amino acid. Remember, both of them are one and the similar, but some of them will change. Okay, so बायोलॉजिकल रोल उसका क्या है अमीनो एसिड का और प्रोटीन का, इस पे क्वेश्चंस आ सकता. गिव द बायोलॉजिकल रोल ऑफ प्रोटीन या फिर गिव द बायोलॉजिकल रोल ऑफ अमीनो एसिड्स. सो दीज आर द सम रोल्स ऑफ proteins as well as amino acid. According to the syllabus, we have completed the part. Next we have disease related to malnutrition of protein. So that is protein energy malnutrition, PEM, is due to consumption of inadequate of protein or less calorie in the diet. So in that we have two diseases due to deficiency of protein, that is marasmus and kwashiorkor. Marasmus and kwashiorkor. Let's see the very first, that is marasmus. It is caused due to inadequate of protein intake. It is caused in the children below 2 years. मतलब 2 साल से जो छोटे बच्चे रहेंगे उनको ये डिजीज होगा, that is marasmus. And a child is said to be marasmatic or marasmic if the weight is 60% below the expected weight. Next, if a person causes marasmus, then it will lead to growth retardation and mental retardation, dry skin, dehydration, eye lesion due to deficiency of vitamin A. Head is big as compared to the body. उसका जो सर है वो थोड़ा सा बड़ा रहेगा. And the leg will not be having proper skin covered. Let's see the next is the biochemical symptoms. So in biochemical symptoms we have very first, that is serum albumin is low. Next is vitamin A content and plasma is also low. Next is the treatment, how you can treat marasmus. So the treatment is a person should have high intake of carbohydrate and protein rich diet. Next is kwashiorkor. That is also caused due to inadequate of protein. It is caused in the children below half years, smaller, like जो छोटे बच्चे रहते हैं उनमें ये डिजीजेस मोस्ट कॉमन है. 1.5 साल के बच्चों में ये बहुत ज़्यादा कॉमन है. नेक्स्ट इट इज़ ईयर इट इज़ कॉज बिलो द एक्सपेक्टेड वेट, जो है यहाँ पे 60, यहाँ पे जो था मरासमस में 60% है. Here it is 80% below the expected weight of a child. Next, so basically ये जो है it is not caused in India much. ये less common है India में, rather than it is more common in the foreign countries. And it is caused due to poor financial condition. Next is the biological symptoms. So in biological symptom, very first is hypoproteinemia and fatty liver. Treatment, इसका भी treatment वही है, like high protein rich diet होना चाहिए, उससे ये जो है kwashiorkor can be treated. इसमें जो है it will cause edema, मतलब swelling ज़्यादा रहेंगी, diarrhea, anemia as well. So kwashiorkor and marasmus is the result due to poverty and ignorance. Next, few more diseases are there due to, like one of them is nutritional edema. Nutritional edema is also there. It is also due to the less intake of protein, and it is very rare in adult. बेसिकली ये जो है छोटे बच्चों में ही ज़्यादा डिजीज़ेस रहेंगी, ये मरासमस एंड kwashiorkor. So here it was protein. So we have completed everything in the protein, like definition, We have seen the classification, diseases, example, structure, qualitative test. Hope you understood the chapter. If you have any suggestion or advices regarding the chapter, or you have any doubt in the chapter, you can comment down in the comment box. And please do like my channel and do subscribe to my channel.